Spurs are really on the road to having to salvage their season now after what can only be described as a humiliating loss to Liverpool in that Carabao Cup semi-final on Thursday. I just feel like it's acceptable to lose to a team that are better than you, which Liverpool are. Liverpool are so much better than Tottenham in pretty much every aspect, but to lose the way that Tottenham did, in the manner that they did, that's where it becomes so upsetting and unacceptable, if we're being brutally honest with ourselves. The way Tottenham lost that game against Liverpool was unacceptable, and it is now a crash course in trying to save our season, like it is every single year. We got the Aston Villa game at the weekend, we have the Europa League, and the Premier League is pretty much already done. There was just no fight and no desire at Anfield. And most importantly, no belief. I don't feel like any player, bar maybe one or two in Matthias Tell and Jed Spence, who felt like they could go to Anfield and actually get anything out of the game and go through. We were 90 minutes away from Wembley, 90 minutes away from a cup final. We haven't won a trophy since 2008. This should be the moment that every player in that football club put everything on the line, and I just don't feel like they did. And I don't want to go into too many specifics, but there were so many players just hiding on the pitch, not doing enough. Our leaders, our talisman, our best players weren't doing what it takes to get past a team with Liverpool's quality. That's the most upsetting thing. The fact that we could be out of 2 cup competitions in a mere matter of days. All of a sudden, this Aston Villa match is massive. It is absolutely huge. And things don't look necessarily too positive for Tottenham going into it. I don't want to go into too many specifics about the Liverpool game because I know a lot of players are running on empty. I know a few of them are being played out of position, but there's no point hiding from the fact that we are all hugely disappointed about it. But we've had our time to sulk. We've had our time to be upset about it. And ultimately, we have to draw a line underneath that game and we have to move on. We have to G ourselves back up for an equally, if not more important game now against Villa. The game is massive and I feel like I have to focus on how big this game is. It is huge. It's huge for the manager, for Ange Postecoglou, for the club, for the players themselves. Daniel Levy, the pressure is growing on him, and Spurs getting dumped out of 2 cup competitions in the space of a few days. It's not a great look. If everybody inside Hotspur Way is not doing everything they can to ensure that we get through this tough FA Cup clash, I don't know what the point in being there is. If we want to salvage our season, we have to win this game. Villa have had an entire week to prepare for this. They haven't had to play midweek like we have at one of the toughest stadiums in Europe. Plus, when you add in the fact that they brought Marcus Rashford in, Marcus Asensio, a few other players in the January market as well, they have a very, very good and very attacking squad that can do a lot of damage to our defence. Rashford alone has scored 6 goals against us during his career, and at Villa Park, under the lights, you could argue that it doesn't get too much tougher than that anywhere across the country. The good news, though, is this. We have lost just once at Villa Park since 2009. We have won the majority of those games as well. I think there's only 2 or 3 draws in the game. But if we want to keep that record intact and keep it going, we have to do a few very basic things. The first thing I want to talk about is that we have to start playing players in their best positions. None of this rotation and playing players where we need to fill the gaps anymore. I'm talking about the likes of Dejan Kulusevski, shifting him out to the right-hand side like we have done for the last few months to cover for Brennan Johnson. I don't think it's working. I don't think that's his best position. He is so clearly better in an attacking midfield, advanced central role. So put him there. Figure the other side out because he's one of our best players. We need to focus our attacks around Kulusevski, and we can't do that while he's playing as a right winger. Matthias Tell as well, he has to start. Obviously, I think he will because Richarlison is injured again. I think he lasted, 3 games this time. Fabulous. Thanks very much. Replacement in the summer, please. But yeah, Tell has to start. He, on Thursday, was one of the only players that looked like he had any sort of belief and charisma about him. He was on the pitch and within 2 minutes shouting at his teammates to get up, to press, to squeeze. He looked in disbelief at what he was on the pitch with. So Definitely he has to be starting in his preferred position, which I think is as a central striker. And this may sound harsh to a lot of you watching, but if the time is right, we have to drop Son. He was nowhere on Thursday, and I'm not going to get into the politics of the situation because I do think he's tired, and I think that his legs, he's 32 now, so he's not going to be the player he once was. He can't keep playing these many minutes. And if I just feel like if we have him on the pitch, it might even put us at a disadvantage. So Ange has that decision to make, because you can either play him and you've got your captain, you've got someone who is capable of delivering something very, very special, or he ghosts and he hides like he did on Thursday. It's harsh, but it's the reality of the situation, and I don't know how many more chances he's going to get. The final one, Archie Gray in central midfield. We've brought in a centre-back in January. We will play him there, move Archie Gray into his best position, which is at a central midfielder, particularly because of the fact that Bentancur and Basuma were god-awful on Thursday night against Liverpool. They were really, really poor, the both of them. So why not finally give Archie Gray a run out there? We've seen how well he can play as a centre-back, so what's to say that he won't be even better, maybe not even 10 times better in that central midfield role? If we do this, we are giving ourselves the best possible chance to hurt Villa. And again, to do that, we have to play on the front foot. We have to be aggressive. We have to have an attacking mindset in the game, because the last 2 weeks against Liverpool, against Brentford, we sat with a low block. We defended with our lives, and you ride your luck doing that, and it's not how Ange Postecoglou's system is built. He wants to play aggressive. He wants to play high up the pitch. So let's do it. We've seen already this season that we can tear Aston Villa apart. So we have to stick to that plan and not deviate from it. Ange has given us updates on the team squad, and I guess moving back to some bad news is the fact that there are no players back. There are no players back from injury for this game, which is a huge shame. I don't know what's happened to Van de Ven, considering he played half a game against Elfsborg and he hasn't been seen since then. He's not available for Sunday either. It's very frustrating, but what can you do? Again, no Romero, Vicario, Udogie, Solanke, Richarlison, Maddison. So many players still not available. So it is a case of having to deal with what we've got. But I just feel like Ange has to shuffle a few things around, change a few positions, tweak a few tactics, go back to your roots, go back to what Tottenham fans love to watch, which is playing that attacking football. We've brought in a few reinforcements with fresh legs. I feel like we now have the capability to do that. So without further ado, this is the starting lineup I would go for the away game against Villa in the FA Cup. I would start with Kingsley in goal, of course. Put Pedro Porro back at right back after he started on the bench against Liverpool. Then that same back two of Danso and Davis, with Jed Spence at left back, who I thought was excellent once again. Absolutely brilliant. One of our best players so far this season since he's been forced into the team. In midfield, I would go Archie Gray, Rodrigo Bentancur and Dejan Kulusevski in the 10. I think that's a strong core. I think Bentancur needs the players around him, and he doesn't necessarily feel as safe and secure with Basuma or perhaps Bergvall next to him. So that is the midfield I'd go with. And then you've got the options of the front three. And this is what I would go for. Honestly, I would start Son just because the options for that front three, if we want to play Kulusevski in the middle, it does mean that Son has to play in one of the wide areas. So Son, I would still start on the left, but he is on borrowed time unless he starts to step up a little bit more. I would play Matthias Tell as our striker and Mikey Moore, give him a run out on the right-hand side. I think that is an aggressive team. I think it is an attacking team, and I think it's a good team. The best possible team we could put out against Villa. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, and a lot of you might be watching this thinking, well, after that performance on Thursday, Mitch, how can we expect to have any hope for this Villa game? You have to go into every game of football with a bit of belief, with a bit of hope that you can win the game, and especially the players. If the players don't have that, then what's the point in the fans of having that? And rest assured, Ange and the players will be up for it. He will get them up for it, and they will give it everything they've got. Whether that's enough is a completely different question. It will be a very, very tough game, but we know that we can win at Villa Park. We know we can beat Villa, and it's an opportunity to move further in another cup competition and right our wrongs from that just embarrassing Carabao Cup performance. So for that, I'm going to go with a very nervy 2-1 Tottenham win. Right into the dying embers of the game, we're going to nick a winner. And yeah, it's going to silence Villa Park. It's going to make us all very happy. And then hopefully, guys, this is the last game. This is the last game before we finally start to get players back. There are talks that for the Manchester United game, we could have Vicario, Udogie, Van de Ven, Odegaard and Maddison all back. That's 5 players that could break into that starting 11, which is huge for us. So keep the faith just for this next week or so. Don't let it get you down too much. I know it's so frustrating. I was equally as upset and disappointed with that Carabao Cup loss, but we all have to pick ourselves up. We all have to go again. It's another game, another chance to get closer towards a final in a different cup competition. Why not go for it? Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, of course. I will be back with my reaction on Sunday evening after the game. But until then, enjoy your weekend. And as always, come on, you Spurs.